2.4 release. This session will be recorded and distributed to all attendees so that you can review it and also share it with your team after. We are going to be covering a lot of content today, so I want to make sure that you have that available for reference after the event. Please note that audio will be routed through your computer, so please ensure your speakers are unmuted. Additionally, we will be going over Q&A throughout the session, so as questions come up, please make sure to include those in the GoToWebinar control panel so that we can start answering them right away and also get ready to answer them with our leadership on the call. Because we have such a packed agenda, we're going to get started. And so with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Corey Tolato and Eric Irway, who are going to introduce themselves and share some details about the Magento 2.4 release.
Absolutely. Thanks, Marissa. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining today. I'm really excited about this session. We got a lot of great people that are on here talking about 2.4, the release. As Marissa mentioned, my name is Corey Tolato. I'm a commerce strategy consultant here at Adobe. I work a lot with our merchants just to identify areas of opportunities, whether it be through UX and UI around your digital landscape. It could be anything that is within the Magento system or within just kind of general commerce space and the ecosystem itself. I've been working in commerce for over 14 years in various roles, but mostly on a strategy and consultative type of a way. And, you know, really been working on the Magento platform since it kind of started so in 2008. But just kind of background, I'm well-versed on other platforms as well, but have been working with Magento for quite some time. Eric, can you introduce yourself and just share a little bit about your background with Magento?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Corey. So my name is Eric Irway. I'm the Senior Manager for Product Management of Magento Commerce here at Adobe for what we call our merchant and shopping experiences. I've been in Magento, now Adobe, for about 5 years, and my team is responsible for many of the things that you'll be seeing today in Magento 2.4, including B2B, P2B but many other things as well.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Eric. All right. I want to get started with some just kind of Q&A, and I'm really excited about this portion just because, Eric, you and I have been working together for quite some time. But I'm excited because of 2.4. So it was released last month. For those that are not aware, July 28th was general announcement. But Eric, what feature or features do you think will be the biggest benefit and most impactful for our merchants?
Yeah, that's, it's really a hard one. I would say B2B is likely the biggest one, in my opinion. You're going to hear a lot more about that from Shannon here shortly. But when you think about things like order approvals, in particular, those are really big customer needs. With many of the releases that we've done in the past, though, I'm equally proud about how we've done it as much as what we've done as well. So many of the features that we're going to be talking about here, like in-store pickup, seller-assisted shopping, media gallery, and even our headless capabilities like GraphQL and P2B, were developed with our Magento community. In addition, we had a really strong beta program for 2.4 this summer with over 85 partners and about 300 members this summer prior to the release. And so, but again, short version is I would say B2B, but it's really hard to choose. We've got a lot of great additions here, but I would start with that.
Amazing. Yeah, I have to say for the B2B aspect, I'm actually going to be going through that demo towards the end of this presentation today, and I'm very excited about it. The approval workflow, just some of the merchants I've already been speaking to, they're equally excited. It's just really an amazing feature, as well as kind of the seller-assisted shopping too, which we'll also go through today. And there's a lot of things that are going to be a mixture between B2B and B2C. We do believe in this concept of business to everyone here at Adobe, and it really is the kind of the new norm. Looking at online spend being up year over year, especially kind of during these times and how it's been thrusted even farther. The Adobe team has really tracked and sustained spikes in the buy online, pick up in store. And just kind of that's a huge thing for us to include here. And kind of year over year growth, looking back at June, was over 130%. It's really amazing. So kind of speaking about the buy online, or as we kind of call it, focus feature that's included in 2.4, can you just share some details around that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a great example of probably a feature that you've used before, but now we've included in the platform itself. In-store pickup is an example of how we've extended our MSI or inventory capabilities with the help from our community. As you can imagine, it's timely and relevant this year, and so we're really excited about bringing that in as part of the release. And with this feature, the sources themselves that you configure can be optionally done as a pickup location, allowing both shoppers and others to select that available location during checkout, but also get notified when orders are available. Again, it's going to work and act exactly like you would expect as an end shopper, but allows merchant level controls to set those sources up in a way that's easy to use, and again, much like what you would expect. In addition to that, we've actually extended some feature functionality for MSI, now inventory, for bundle product support, and also some performance improvements as well.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. And that is a great feature. I think just, again, even my own personal shopper experience, I've been doing that. I've been buy online and what I like to call just curbside pickup. So not just in store as well, but it's definitely a great feature. I think one of the things in my career, I've seen technology change in what's kind of considered digital transformation. So thinking about it 15 years ago, responsive themes and responsive design was the big rave and so forth, so on. Now it's progressive web apps and PWA. And I've said this, and again, I'm very well versed on the platforms, just working with them, developing on them. And I know that Magento and what we have, we are staying a step ahead of the competition and working with what kind of that new latest and greatest is. And really kind of, I think that this was something that we really pioneered and we innovated on. Can you talk a bit about what was in this recent release, especially with our new storefront?
Yeah, absolutely. This also is our hard one, but it's probably a hard one to keep short. It's having done this for well over 20 years, this is probably one of the most exciting initiatives that I've been fortunate to be part of, right? And so I think when you think about the aspects of PWA and you start to think about a brand new front end and a brand new experience for Magento, now Adobe, we've got a lot packed into what essentially has been a standard in the industry for roughly 5 years or so. What makes this really unique is that what we want to do is deliver really world-class tools, world-class patterns from user experience standpoint, in a way that was once only sought after by larger custom shops. And so the recognition that we continue to get from analysts on that lower total cost of ownership and really that ready-made ability to achieve those performance, but also those conversion goals that our customers are seeing is really impressive. In many ways, we've built upon a lot of the great work that we started off with Magento 2.3, which at this point is almost 18 months ago, but we're really inspired and also shaped the product itself based on some of the early launches like UK Meds and others at the very, very beginning. That again, with the help from our community, has helped really shape the product to where it needs to be today. Magento 2.4 has really hit, though, a key experience in the Venia reference, so to speak, and that's really around cart and checkout. You also start to see a brand new user experience, and partnering with our teams on the UX side, we're starting to bake in best practices that we feel like are going to enhance that overall experience. No longer the days of static commerce and even content experiences. These are dynamic experiences that we feel like are going to push the limits on what we feel like the end shoppers expect, and they're starting to see. And at one point was only reserved for native, right? And so we're bringing this capability based on what's been available in your phone, but also in your desktop for quite some time. And the results have been really amazing. We've got roughly a dozen or so customers that have launched to date. We've got quite a few named ones planned by the end of the year. We hear about them pretty much new opportunities or new developments every other week or so. And then we've really addressed the needs, again, full stack from the merchants, again, from the need of conversion down to the developers, where we have a brand new improved workflow and what it means to develop front end for Magento. So super excited about this. 2.4 is another advancement for that in our quest to continue to make PWA the default front end for Magento, but we're really excited about the results.
Yeah, and I think that this is one of the reasons why Forrester named Magento a leader in both business to consumer and business to business, was because Magento really, we can serve any merchant's distribution method. I know Shannon's going to be going through a lot more details around B2B, but can you talk about a few details that are included in this release that will especially help with our merchants in either B2B or B2C?
Yeah, I think B2B is going to be pretty well covered by Shannon, but when I start to think about two specific capabilities, I think a lot about seller-assisted shopping. Again, it works very much like you would expect. The idea where a merchant can take control and start to navigate a particular site that the end shopper might be seeing. Let's say that's a customer service scenario where help may be needed, right? And so that came by way of the community as well, and we're really excited about that. One thing that people don't realize though is that actually although coined as a B2B or considered a B2B feature, it's actually a B2C feature just the same for that one. So I would say seller assisted shopping is one of those, and then from our standpoint, I think order search, and so what you would expect is a key capability also brought into by the community is a great way for end merchants to again perform a much more robust search task compared to maybe what they've seen or done in the past. All of those are on top of the major improvements that we've done in order approvals, which is really the hallmark, and I would say one of the largest benefits of the release itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be demoing both of those, and you're absolutely right. B2B, B2C, that seller-assisted shopping, I think is key and very important. And I'm going to kind of give a different flavor of it during the demo today as well for kind of the wholesale aspect. But, really one of the other features that I'm a huge fan of, I think just because of my role and how I've kind of interacted in the ecosystem is again, delivering dynamic content, delivering these type of experiences. So one of the things I was really excited about as well is the improved media gallery updates that are included in 2.4. Can you kind of just really high level of what merchants can look forward to with this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a really interesting one. Again, also with help from our community, we took with what was really the next iteration of our Adobe Stock integration, and we created a brand new media gallery as a result of that. It's a key experience for many merchants. So the idea of managing and selecting key assets to use on any regular basis. But we've addressed a couple key needs as a result. So brand new user interface with regard to the media gallery, which I think a lot of folks will overlook when they just think about Adobe Stock. But we also address some key performance needs as well. So at the moment, we're seeing roughly 10x better performance, especially with high volumes of assets. We're also seeing and we've delivered some advanced filtering and search capabilities, mostly at the licensing status, but also around other attributes like upload date and others. And then from an Adobe Stock integration standpoint, we do have the ability now to preview, but then also filter on unlicensed and licensed assets along the way. So we're pretty excited about this, well beyond again what would be a typical Adobe Stock integration, and really have brought a key experience to the next level based on where we were with previous releases.
Yeah, and I mean, with every release, we have the security enhancements. It's something that's always top of mind for us here at Adobe. It's something that is always a consideration, and we're always going to be on the lookout. That is a 24/7 job for us to be sure that we are always as secure as we possibly can be with new ways that people are out there and kind of doing malicious things. With Magento 2.4, there was two-factor authentication that was added into this. And I know we could talk about security ad nauseum for hours for this. And I do want to call out that we do have an office hours that is focused towards our security. So our virtual office hours on September 16th is focused towards security, and we're going to have our product managers joining that to answer questions. So make sure that for all of you that are on here today, you do register for that event. But, Eric, can you just kind of give a quick lay of the land for the update that's within 2.4?
Yeah, I would say keep this short because I know Smitta's going to do a great job of this with the next webinar. But essentially, two-factor authentication is basically something you've used. Again, when we think about in-store pickup and other key experiences, it works exactly like you would expect. What it does is that it addresses a key vulnerability that often is seen and we see as one of the bigger security threats for any platform like Magento. So we're really excited about this, addressing this specific need. But again, with the situation that we're in, with more employees working remotely and businesses shifting more of those operations to these work-from-home digital solutions, we wanted to get ahead of that for this particular release and introduce two-factor authentication by default for that one. So we're pretty excited about this, and we really feel like this not only improves our quality, but our security more so than ever before.
Awesome. Yeah, I know the crowd is very excited to see the demo and go through these B2B updates. So I just got two additional questions, and then we're going to turn it over to Shannon. But with peak season coming for a lot of merchants, for many merchants, kind of that October to December area, we think it's going to be a little bit earlier, obviously this year. But Do you have recommendations for customers that are considering upgrading to 2.4?
Yeah, so I would say, I think that the short answer is peak season is relative, of course. I think in every customer scenario is going to be different, but I would encourage anyone to get started with a lot of the resources that we have out there today. For those who've worked with Magento well into the past, our miners are pretty sizable releases, and take a look at it from your perspective on kind of the risk and really the cost to implement. We're spending a lot of time, though, from a product standpoint on making sure that those upgrades continue to be easier each time. And through programs like our beta program from 2.4 and others, we're looking at quality in a way that I think we can really, really be proud of for that one. So we're going to make that easier probably than maybe your upgrades and experiences in the past. And I think another testament to that is what we've done with Marketplace. So one new thing we've done this year is that with key areas like Magento Marketplace, we upgraded that to 2.4 on the day of the release. And so we're using our own products as well, which is a great way for us to kind of learn from ourselves, but also to demonstrate the ability to upgrade very quickly in these particular times.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, just kind of one thing to note out, and hopefully Eric, you can provide this, and you alluded to it as well, but with all the features that we're talking about, with the B2B updates, with anything that's released, and even future releases as well, what can we kind of give customers as kind of a way to find these details in the future and even today?
There's a lot of material that's out there. So, a lot of online documentation that was brought in by way of our dev docs, like we typically have done. So we've broken those out based on the highlights and some of the key changes. So definitely take a look there. We also have quite a few user guides, especially for business types to take a look at. Again, understand how this works, how this might change, especially with key capabilities like B2B and in-store pickup. And of course, if you run into any issues, we've got a great support team, and we've got a great knowledge base that you can use to take a look at that. And in general, we're pretty easy to reach should you have any questions. CSMs are great about that. We want to make sure that you're successful along the way. And if you have any feedback, let us know. We'll take a look at it.
All right. Really appreciate the time today. It was awesome to chat with you. Always a pleasure. Thanks for everything. Thanks for prepping for this. Right now, we're going to turn this over to Shannon so she can kind of start going into a little bit more of a deep dive into the B2B capabilities. Shannon?
Hey, hello everyone. This is Shannon Hain from the product marketing team, and I'm extremely happy to be joining you today. I'm going to start with just a few minutes on some emerging B2B commerce trends that we're seeing in the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, and then I'm going to move on to the exciting B2B features in 2.4, and then Corey's going to rejoin for the demo portion of the webinar today. So let's take a look at the market. Thanks to a lot of pandemic-related business restrictions, there have been some significant changes in the channels used by B2B buyers over the last 5 months. As you can see from this data, purchasing directly from sales reps and in-branch has seen a steep decline. Purchasing from supplier digital portals is up from 58% to 67%, and marketplace purchasing is holding steady. Next slide. Another survey that we have from McKinsey shows that 96% of businesses have changed their sales model to favor online and e-commerce based selling during the pandemic. And what's interesting is that 65% say that the new sales model is as effective or more so than what they were doing before COVID-19. And 80% are likely to sustain these shifts. Respondents have also seen a 40% increase in the importance of digital selling versus traditional selling, and a 24% increase in e-commerce revenue since the onset of COVID-19. So all these data points are really indicating that COVID-19 has accelerated the timetable to digital commerce for B2B, and that it is here to stay. So with that in mind, Adobe is working really hard to support B2B companies during this challenging period by adding some important functionality to the product. So in Magento Commerce 2.4, we're delivering solutions for B2B company spending control with self-service approval workflows, superior sales and customer service with our seller-assisted shopping capability, and better performance with faster ordering and reordering and a new order search feature. And I'm going to quickly go through each of these capabilities to give you a sense of what's included. So let's start off with the approval workflows. And to just level set on kind of terminology here, let's talk about what approval workflows are. And really, these are the rules and processes that govern when and how purchase orders must be approved before they can be submitted to a vendor. And these are typically created by B2B buying companies to enforce their corporate spending policies. So support for these buyer approval workflows really delivers some important benefits to both B2B sellers and to buyers. So for sellers like you, offering the option for self-service approval workflows enable you to attract new businesses and really grow your online sales by supporting your customers' purchasing policies, right? You become a much more attractive vendor to work with. For buyers, workflow approval processes streamline that pre-purchase approval process for greater convenience and faster ordering, while at the same time ensuring that they have that spending control in place when their employees are purchasing online. So let's take a look at what is actually included in this new workflow feature in Magento Commerce 2.4. We're really giving B2B buyers a rich set of tools, and it includes, first off, the ability to set flexible rules for when approvals are needed. And so these rules are based on the order value, the number of SKUs, or the shipping cost for that order. You can set purchasing limits for each role, so a junior buyer perhaps can spend up to $500 without approval, while a senior buyer maybe can spend up to $10,000 without approval. The tool also has support for multiple approvers for certain types of purchases, and automated email notifications go out to all approvers when an order is ready for them to review. Approvers then just simply log into my account and go into a new section that's called My Purchase Orders, where they can see all their orders awaiting their review. At the same time, buyers can also track kind of the progress of their purchase order as it goes through this review cycle, and they can see who has signed off or who hasn't signed off on their purchase in a new approval flow tab. So they have complete transparency as well. So let's just take a kind of a bird's eye view of the process, and then Corey's going to go into this in more detail later. And if you just look at the flow, it starts when the buyer adds items to their cart and then enters checkout, where they're going to provide their shipping information and choose an offline payment option. At this point, the rules engine is going to kick in and review the order to see if it exceeds the limit set for the buyer, and if it requires approval before being submitted. So in this case, let's assume that that order needs to be approved. So instead of seeing the place order button, the buyer is going to be able to place a purchase order instead. At that point, notifications will go out to the appropriate approvers via email, and also it will show up in the My Account portal. Those approvers can review the purchase order in My Account and sign off on it. And once that approval is in place, and actually all the approvals are in, the order is just automatically submitted to the vendor. In the case of quotes, once the buyer and the seller come to agreement on pricing, the order will go through a similar approval process, just like a regular purchase order. So just a couple of more things to be aware of around our approval workflow process. First off, note that merchants can turn this feature on or off per company account. So this is something that can be selectively offered to different customers. Approvals are compatible with orders that use any offline payment method like payment on account. So orders using credit cards won't be subject to approval. Those orders will just be automatically placed, but we are working on adding support for online payment methods and are optimistic that this is going to happen by the end of the year. So that's a feature that will be coming to you. The other thing to note is that the order approval user interface is responsive, so it's designed to work well in those mobile use cases, as you can see from this screenshot. And this is functionality that's limited to Magento Commerce only. It's part of our B2B feature set. All right, so that's approval workflows. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about seller-assisted shopping and Corey talked about this a little bit earlier, along with Eric. Pretty exciting feature. We really see it as a great way to empower you to deliver exceptional service. It's a functionality that's going to benefit both our B2B and B2C merchants. And basically what it is, it allows your customer or service reps or sales reps to log in to the site on behalf of a customer. And so when that rep logs into the site, a persistent banner is displayed at the top of the page, and you can see that in the screenshot here. And it shows the user name and website address. So it's absolutely clear which customer that they're representing. And having this access to the buyer's experience will really enable the rep to support them in multiple ways, right? They can troubleshoot any part of the buying process. They can help a customer find a product. They can show them how to set up a requisition list, maybe address something that's not working as expected. They can also walk the customer through custom functionality that may only be available in the front-end experience, like a product configurator. They can also save the customer time by creating orders for them or handling administrative tasks like setting up approval rules. And also, seller-assisted shopping allows those sellers to create a quote for customers as well. And I know this is a feature that's been asked for. Since it's not available in the admin, this is a great way for you to be able to set up quotes for your customers. Next slide, please. While seller-assisted shopping provides the ability to deliver incredible service, it also may raise some concerns around control and security. And so we've built transparency and control features into our offering. First off, that includes access control lists, which control which admin users or sales reps are allowed to or not allowed to log in as a customer. So that login as a customer feature is something that you can enable or disable for your reps. All actions taken by reps are logged, and any orders that they make on behalf of the customer are marked as being placed by a site administrator along with the date and timestamp. Whenever the rep logs out of the admin, the assisted shopping session is ended, destroyed, and they can't return to the site as a customer. And finally, to maintain security, reps never see or have access to customer passwords. So there's a lot of control that's actually built into this functionality. All right, so this release also includes several performance enhancements that accelerate common B2B purchasing scenarios and really help to boost customer loyalty and sales conversion rates. So a few examples here. We're seeing up to 50% faster reordering for large orders with 100 products or more. Also see up to 30% faster quick order form add to cart performance and 11% faster configurable product add to cart performance. And that's a very common use case with configurable products in B2B. We're also seeing 25% to 43% faster CMS category and product page load times when under load. So that's when there are a lot of folks viewing the same page at the same time. And finally, we've made some Redis updates to improve network optimization tenfold. And then finally, we've added some functionality to make it more efficient for buyers to find previous orders. And as Eric mentioned, this is something that's valuable for both our B2B and B2C sellers. These new search tools will save buyers time as they try to track down previous orders to answer internal questions, perhaps, maybe place a reorder. And they can easily search and filter those orders using things like the SKUs or product names, order or invoice number, who created the order, the status of it, or the date range or value range. So those are just some of the exciting new B2B features in Magento Commerce 2.4. And just as a quick reminder, they join a full set of B2B capabilities that are already part of the solution, including things like company-specific pricing and catalogs, self-service account management and purchasing tools, quoting, quick ordering options, and much more. So with Magento Commerce, you're getting a solution that truly leads in out-of-the-box B2B and B2C capabilities, giving you the flexibility to pursue really any audience or strategy online. So please feel free to reach out to your account manager if you'd like to learn more about our B2B offering. Perhaps you're selling B2C today. It may be the right time to look into turning on the B2B capabilities that you already have in your product for no additional cost. All right, I'd like to wrap things up with a little bit about some opportunities for you to get involved with the Adobe team. And first off, we're always interested in hearing how you are using Magento Commerce in your business. This really helps us and really helps the wider Magento community kind of understand what's possible with the platform. And we have many different ways that you can share your story. We're always interested in case studies, looking for speakers for webinars and events, folks who are willing to do press interviews or speak to industry analysts, or just simply provide a quote about your experience. So that's one option. Another way you can get involved is by participating in user research. And we have a really full research agenda for the rest of this year and going into 2021. And we need your input to set requirements and also test usability for our products. So one example is that we're very interested in working with customers who have implemented approval workflows to uncover what's working, what's not working, what functionality you'd like us to add going forward to better suit your needs. So participating in these kind of studies is really easy to do. It's online, usually takes about an hour, and really this is your chance to have a say in how Magento Commerce evolves. So when you get your post-event survey today, there'll be some questions in there about getting involved, either in sharing your story or getting involved in research. So please indicate on that survey form if you're interested, and we will get in contact with you about these opportunities. So thank you so much, and I'd like to turn it back to Corey, who is going to demo all of the great things that we've had a chance to talk about today.
Awesome. Amazing, Shannon. That got me really excited, so I'm excited to take over here and share my screen. So just give me 1 second here while I get that started. Hey, Marissa, if you could just make me the presenter, and I will start sharing my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen.
You're good, Corey. That's good.
Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to start with this on the B2B side. So we're going to go through the approval workflows. We're going to go through roles, permissions. We're going to go through company structure. We'll go through the seller-assisted shopping as well. We're going to go through a few different things on the B2B side. I'm going to note out certain things that are also, definitely could be also B2C. I know that there's a few of you that are direct-to-consumer that are on this and maybe even thinking about B2B and kind of getting into that space from a digital presence wise. And I think that this is a really good start and a really good way for you guys to really see kind of these features and functionality. So we're going to go through B2B first, then I'm actually going to go back and go through some direct-to-consumer updates such as the media gallery, kind of more relevant that's around the direct-to-consumer. So the first area I want to talk about is what Shannon alluded to before, is around kind of that purchase order workflow and how to enable it by company. So in here, I'm going to use performance athletics throughout this entire thing. We're going to talk about a few different roles too, which I'll go through just shortly. I'm going to be bouncing between admin and front end, and just a note, we'll have a recording that's going to be sent out after this. So while I might go a little bit fast here, just so we can get some questions, please just be on the lookout for that recording. So here, looking at the company section, I'm going to be headed for specifically performance athletics, which is an athletic apparel company. In the advanced settings section, you have the ability to actually enable the purchase orders. So this is down to that company level. I think this is really important if you do have a hybrid model or if you are direct to consumer as well as B2B. Having something like this is very important too. But even furthermore, when you do have multiple companies that you're supporting as a merchant, with this, you can enable this by company. So if a company is requesting this, if that buyer is requesting this, you can enable it here. So just so you can see kind of what that setting looks like. I'm going to go into Alan here. Alan is the company admin for Performance Athletics. And what Alan does is he manages basically the entirety of the company structure from that front-end experience side. So one of the things I'm going to highlight here, and again, this is the same thing with B2C. is that login as customers. So this is that seller assisted shopping. So before, if you remember what I said, and I'm actually going to click here and go login as this customer, as Alan. But one of the things that I was mentioning before is I kind of want to think about this from a little bit of a hybrid way, and not just saying you're going to go through a purchase flow for a buyer or for a consumer. Rather than this, I want to say this as, if you have sellers that are within your organization that work with these buyers, you can basically have them go in here and log in as, say, admin, as the company admin, and basically configure and set up the approval workflows with them on screen, basically doing a demo similar to what we're doing today. So as I'm in here logged in as Alan, you can see that at the top that I am connected as Alan on the main website. The thing that I first want to go through is just simply company users here. So within the left side navigation, I'm going to go down to that company users. I can add new users through this, but I can also manage who my users currently are, and also their role, which is more important. So if you have somebody maybe being promoted within your organization as a buyer or anything like that, maybe they're moving to the head of procurement, you can basically modify users at any time through the front end experience as a buyer, as basically your customer now. And here you can kind of see my structure as it is, or at least the company users. I have company admin, which is myself that I'm logged in as, Alan, right now. I also have buyers specific to physical locations or physical stores. I also have my head of procurement, the store managers for these specific stores, as well as, again, buyers, etc. So how that structure looks like and how to set that up and manage it, again, through the front end experience as a buyer. So as Alan's coming into here, managing these different ways, you kind of see this where you have Alan at the top. Alan's basically, again, that company admin. Underneath, he has each person. So he has Christy, who is our head of procurement. He also has in the specific store locations. So we have Middlebrook and we have Rolling Hills here. You can see you have the store manager and you have the buyers. Kind of where this starts, it's more of a visual representation of kind of how you could set up these approval workflows now and the specific roles and permissions. You can also, when you are creating these roles and permissions, which I'm going to show now, you can basically have the ability, let's say that you want to make a second in command. Basically, your buyer's looking for somebody else. Maybe head of procurement can also manage users, can manage the roles and permissions. Here, what you'll see from Alan's side is, since Alan is the company admin, he can manage everything. He can manage the roles, the permissions, he can add new ones, he can duplicate ones, he can edit certain ones that are currently in here. So for instance, if we just go into, say, the buyer line, you'll kind of see what this looks like. And those that are familiar with the Magento admin side, this is very similar in mimicking what you see from kind of the roles and permissions for admin users. But as a front-end experience, you have the ability to basically check, uncheck certain areas here of what a specific type of role could see and could view and could edit. So you can kind of see, if we were just kind of going through a few of these order approvals, for instance, for the buyer itself as that role, they can view their current purchase orders, but they would not be able to do it for subordinates. So if they are a store manager, this would be checked. So view all for company, somebody like head of procurement or Alan, obviously, would be able to see all for the company. Also, one of the things that I really like here is an auto-approved POs created within this role. So for instance, Alan would have this selected, and maybe the head of procurement might have this. So basically those two leads, would have an auto approval for POs. So they would bypass any sort of rules or approval rules that are set up and in place if that is checked. They can also see just kind of the company profile, the company user management, but cannot actually manage those. So you can kind of see that those are unchecked at any point in time. So as simple as this can be, I just want to take one step back here. And I want to show you just kind of how you can add another one. So for instance, let's say that we have associate buyers or we have junior buyers, as Shannon actually mentioned before. One of the great features I really like is kind of just this duplicate action. So duplicating a current buyer that's in place for one of the buyer role itself. And if we just wanted to change this and we wanted to say junior as a buyer, basically we can manage this role and we can change certain things within here. If they don't have the exact same type of permission access that a buyer would, you can change anything that's through here. So maybe, we don't want them to see the company profile and we don't want to see certain things like company management or anything like that. And if we save that, we can basically create that role. We can add new users underneath this role or assign them to this specific role. So really neat feature. I really like this just because it kind of gives that management back to, and what I hear a lot in kind of my day-to-day activities working with a lot of merchants is, we need something like this. We need the ability where if I'm B2B, I need businesses and buyers to be able to manage their own structure and their own company. I don't have time to do that as well. And I have this, or they say I have this within my ERP currently. So something like that can be translated from that front-end experience or that online shopping experience for wholesale or for B2B. So the next thing I want to just go through is that approval rules. So we've kind of gone through the company users, the structure, the roles and permissions, again, all new features with 2.4. The approval rules, this is kind of really where things start getting into the meat of it, where you have various types of ways that you can create these rules. With Alan has the access to be able to see every one of these, to be able to create new ones, and kind of just this general view. You can see what the rule name is. You can see who it's kind of applies to and who the approvers are, or approval process would look like. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to look at, we'll go through the $10,000 one. So this is purchases over $10,000. We'll kind of go through this, and this will be able to kind of give you some insight into each one of these. We'll go through each one, but basically what you have for these rules, you have the ability to obviously disable and enable it. Rule name, that could be titled however the buyer is looking to kind of title this, as well as the description and just stating what that is. So for this buyer, basically it's all purchases that are greater than $10,000 must be approved by a store manager as well as head of procurement. And then within here, you also have this applies to, so you can either select all roles, or this is the multi-select section, where you can choose if it's store manager and buyer, or if it's just the buyer. So in this case, we're saying for buyer, this is the approval process that we'd like to go through. Now for rule type, I just want to open this up so you can see what this looks like. These are the rule types that are currently offered. So order total, shipping cost, and number of SKUs. I've actually had this question before, and I'm sure this question may come up during today's session. So I figure out, let me hit this now. I want to say this is Magento. The platform is Magento, so this is extensible. So if you do have additional rule types, when we were going through this and we did our analysis and we've gone out to the field and asking different companies and buyers what they were looking for, these three really hit 90% of all businesses, all buyers that are out there. So that's why these are in there, but this is extensible as well. You can extend what type of rules are in here. So for this and what's current, you have order total, shipping cost, and number of SKUs. So for this specific role, we have order total, as well as kind of looking at what the condition is here. So it is more than, so it is more than, it's basically equal to or greater than $10,000 here. You also have the ability, so one thing to kind of call out here is that if you have different currencies, you can actually have this where you can change it by currency too. So that's also a really amazing feature. You can basically add that at multiple level too. And then here it just requires the approval. So throughout this, and I'm going to kind of try to demo this with a little bit of time, but as the purchase process goes and we have got a full approval process, you'll actually see the email transactions that go through as well. So anytime that there is a transaction that's happening, whether it be an order that gets submitted, and then let's say that the head of procurement gets that and receives it and says, I have to approve this, then we're going to receive an email. So I'm going to try to do that through mail later today so you guys can see what that looks like. But that's basically kind of the very high level. I'm trying to get into some details of it, but this is what this really kind of comes down to, and that approval process and the approval rules. It's really, again, it gets me very excited just because of hearing what merchants are saying for the buyers and kind of how to set that structure up from an online experience, and why a lot of the times the B2B side, why it's not online, is because of something like this. So now that this is in there, this kind of gives you that ability to be able to kind of give this to your buyer, and again, by company as well. So I want to take you through that front-end experience and show you what that approval process really looks like. So we're actually going to use the feature here. We're going to use the feature of basically that seller assisted shopping. So we're going to go in as Gavin. So Gavin is a buyer for Performance Athletics, and as he's the buyer, he is buying for a specific store fund. So let me log in as him, and I'll actually show you quickly what that view looks like on the left side. It's going to look very similar to Alan, but remember, he doesn't have the specific actions and the ability to be able to change certain things. So within, say, the roles and permissions, you'll actually kind of see his, it looks completely different. He just kind of sees what's there. He has no actions that are in there, so Alan cannot change anything. He can't view them or anything like that. He also, for approval rules, anything like this, he is able to kind of see, to view them, but has no ability to change anything. So for Gavin, let's go through an order process. As just again to relate back, just so you guys can see what this looks like, business structure-wise or company structure. Here, Gavin is actually under Maya. So Maya is the store manager for the Middlebrook physical location of this buyer. So anything that basically goes through is going to go to Maya, so she can approve that. So here, I'm just going to go into kind of anything. I'm going to place an order. This is going to look very direct to consumer. Don't mind that, but let's say that we're purchasing, we'll go through any of these watches, we'll choose a bunch of these, just so we can kind of trigger one of those. So here, I'll just update, I'll add 25 here. And as we go into the cart, this is kind of where things start looking a little bit different for that kind of approval process, and again, for the purchase order workflow itself. So as we go through, proceed to checkout. And one of the things I'll call out here is you're going to see in-store here, but for the in-store, I'll actually do that in just a second. So for BOPIS or buy online, pick up in store, I'm actually going to go through that from the direct-to-consumer side, so you can see what that looks like. But basically, this kind of looks very similar to what you noticed today outside of pick up in store. As we go to the next, so instead of purchase or place order, for that payment on account, so we have the credit that's there, we're basically going to go here and place a purchase order. So one thing for the customer reference number, this formerly known as the PO number, this can basically be anything that's custom to that specific buyer. So this can be added and it would be part of that order history as well, or that order itself. So as we place this purchase order, we can see that all came across no problem. So I'm actually going to go back to the account section for Gavin. And I just want to show you what the purchase orders look like now. So in my purchase orders for Gavin, you'll kind of see what his orders look like. So for instance, yesterday I placed an order that was for $12,900. And within this, I'm still waiting for a specific approval. And for the one that I just placed, you can kind of see that the status is currently pending. So right now, that is in a status of, it's about to be processed, it's about to go through the approval workflow. And if we go back here now, and I will actually go and log in as Maya. So again, you're getting a good see at this seller-assisted shopping here. As we go in through Maya, again, do that same thing, log in as a customer. So again, that experience now is through Maya. We're seeing this as that store manager for Middlebrook specifically. We go into the My Purchase Orders for Maya as that store manager. You'll actually see that she has an additional tab here that basically requires my approval. Within here, you'll see that the new order that was just placed, and this is also you can sort this by any of the columns if you click on any of these at this point in time. Right now, I just have it sorted so that I can see what's newest and latest and greatest. But you can see here the order approval that is needed and required here for the order that Gavin just placed. So if we go into this, again, as this store manager, you can kind of see what the status looks like. So the details of the order, anything that might have been in here. So if we did add a PR or anything like that, we can also add comments too. So if we wanted to add some sort of comment that, this is approved, just make sure it gets shipped next month or something like that, we can add that into there. We can also see the approval flows. So right now, here's the different rules that are in here. So this is a order that's over $2,000. So we are requiring the approval from the head of procurement, but we're also requiring the approval for the purchase manager. So essentially the store manager here, which is who we are as in, and that's Maya. So here, if we say, okay, this looks good, order details are all make sense, I will go ahead and approve this purchase. We could also retract or cancel the purchase. Now, if we look at the approval flow, and I'll actually do that as the head of procurement now, because we also need that approval to be in there. So that head of procurement is through, again, with Performance Athletics, it's Christy. So we'll do that login as customer again. And as that loads, I actually want to show you. So in Mailinator now, you can actually see the purchase order for Gavin. You can see it's been sent for approval. here's that email transaction, just so you can kind of see, again, there is all notifications around this entire thing. So even if we went into, let's say, for Maya, again, that store manager that required her approval, let me just add her into here, you could see that order number or purchase order is ready for approval. So here you can see Gavin placed this order. Here's that. You can basically go through and review that purchase. So really neat feature just kind of around the transactions and being able to basically send notifications out that are around this. So as we go into that front end experience, now we're in as Christy, who is the head of procurement. Same exact concept. We go through that My Purchase Orders, and within here we'll go through that Requires My Approval. And we'll see that that first one that was just placed today for Gavin is still waiting for approval, and that approval again comes from that head of procurement, so that next level, because this is over $2,000 purchase. So if we look at that approval flow again, you'll see Maya already has approved this. So now that she has approved this, we'll basically say, okay, this looks good. Now we'll have Christy approve it as well. And now that that has been approved and basically everything is all set from that approval process and rules, now that order will be placed. So now we'll go into the merchant side and be able to kind of give that information. So we just kind of go back here and I will take you through the email notification that Gavin will receive. Might not be in there just yet. So there we go. So now you can see the order has been approved. So as we go here, the approval process has been done by both Christy as well as Maya. If we kind of go back here, you'll also see now the order has actually been submitted and it has been created as an order. So really amazing, being able to kind of showcase that and seeing it through that whole process, that whole kind of funnel aspect is really good. And I know we're coming up on some time here, so I'm going to go through the direct-to-consumer side pretty quickly. If there's questions about this, definitely happy to answer, and I can even show a few additional things. But for the direct-to-consumer side, and again, I think this is going to be very relatable even for B2B, and this is more kind of that asset management thing that we were talking about before around the media gallery, the new media gallery that's in here. So within the content section and under media gallery, you'll actually see this new interface, really nice. I really like this. And you can also manage folders and create new folders. For instance, I have 2020 holiday season coming up for myself, for my business. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating and adding assets into here for that specific holiday season. So just so you can kind of see what that looks like for managing through a media gallery. And from, just kind of the page builder side and building out content pages, if you are adding a new image or anything like that, you're also going to see that experience has changed within 2.4 using that new gallery management. So select from gallery, for instance, you'll kind of see that interface is very similar to what we were just looking at before within the content media gallery section. In addition, obviously, with Adobe Stock, you can also choose this. This is populated right in here as well, so you can kind of use anything that's through Adobe Stock. And then just from that front end side, so I know that was really quick, sorry, I'm just trying to get everything in for you guys, but just from front end side, I'm logged in here. So again, this is direct to consumer, say pick up in store. So for this, just to kind of see what this looks like, I am logged in here. I have my address already pre-filled. If you were a guest, as you put in your address or anything like that, you'd also have options like this too. So for instance, with this order right now, after basically seeing the estimated shipping and tax, you can see here you have free pickup, so in store purchase side. You also have the best way. So again, this is just kind of your general shipping, so basically ship to home. As we go through that checkout funnel, and you did see this a little bit on the B2B side, but just kind of so you can see this, if we were shipping, you basically say, I want to ship to this address. But if you are doing a pickup in store, you can either, basically select that there, and you'll see if you had multiple locations that were in that general area where this customer is, and you actually are able to identify this through the configuration. So maybe you don't want to show any stores that are 100 miles plus away from where this consumer or this customer is shopping from, or their billing address or shipping address is. But here, since it's in the area of where this customer is, they have the ability to select the specific retail store. So as they select this, you basically go through kind of, again, just the normal and general checkout process. But basically, again, notification-wise, a customer will receive a notification that says your item is ready for pickup. please, basically that could be modified to please call us when you get here for curbside, etc. But also an amazing feature, something I'm really happy about. Very long-winded, very fast. I do apologize, but Marissa, I guess let me turn this over to you. If there are any questions, I can jump back in there.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. We know that did go very quickly. So all of you, just one last reminder, this will be sent as a recording after the event to everyone who attended, so that you can go through it kind of side by side with Corey if you are going to be setting up those approval workflows or any of the other things that he shared during the demo. You can also share this recording then with your teammates as well, so that they can reference it and really get to know the new features of 2.4. And so with that, we had a lot of content today. Thank you all so much for attending. We hope that it was really helpful for you. A lot of key features were included in 2.4. We hope that all of you can really maximize that new release and really help drive even more business for your company, especially in these times, as Shannon mentioned, COVID and all of the happenings in the world right now are really driving more business online. And so we're really here to help our merchants be successful as you are seeing that increase in traffic. So wanted to make sure that everyone saw, we covered a lot of features, and also wanted to remind you all to please, share your input if you're comfortable. You will be given a survey at the end of this session, so please fill that out if you have a moment. It's only a handful of questions. We'd really love to chat with you and follow up with you directly to learn more about your story with Magento. Additionally, we have many customer exclusive events that are always scheduled for our customers. A few of those are included on this slide. So as we mentioned, the office hours on September 16th is going to focus on security, as well as our usual commerce Q&A session. It's very much like an Ask Me Anything, so come with your questions. We'll have our product manager, Smita, who is responsible for security, on the line answering questions, as well as Corey, who will be able to answer questions, show demos, and really help you all understand how you can maximize your site. If you have more questions, or rather want to learn more about the Magento 2.4 release, our marketing team is going to be delivering a webinar about that on September 17th. And then again, our office hours continue on a monthly basis. So on October 7th, we'll be launching the new SWOT tool that is a site-wide assessment for your site that'll really highlight any potential issues that your site is having that can cause site performance issues, and really help troubleshoot how you can fix those directly with resources we have. So lastly is peak season. We know it's top of mind for many of our merchants right now. We had a prep peak season session earlier this month, and then we will be having another follow-up session in October with Corey talking about how you can maximize peak season. During the peak season itself, how you can really be successful with that. So October 20th, if you want to learn more about that. And with that, I will just one last time say thank you to everyone who was able to attend today. We hope you learned a lot about the new release, got to see it in action. If you have any questions, as always, please follow up directly with your customer success manager. We'll be able to get you all the information that you need. Have a great rest of your day.